the Battle of Belleek. Both Pettigo and Belleek were shelled. Churchill was a government minister at the time, and he set up guns about 3 miles up the Enniskillen Road, and the IRA were on the Battery Fort at the time, and he shelled Belleek in the Battery Fort. And the people with the shelling and with the troubles, they got out of Belleek, and for safety. And like some of the Protestant members, I think they got a boat and got up the river. But the so-called Republicans, what did they do? They burned the Protestant, they raided the Protestant shops and stole the stuff out of it. And then they burned the books that had the record of what they owed them. And these were Republicans. So you have a fair idea what my mind is. So Churchill also set the shelling of Pettigo too as well. Like it's amazing, you know.
And there was an IRA unit, and there were presumably then, what would it then been, RUC members as well as the British Army involved, were there?
Well, in the 1920s, there were IC,
right,
the Royal Irish Constabulary, and the British Army involved. Like the British Army were based in the fort overlooking the Bridge of Belleek there, right. And they eventually moved out then. But there were 3, I think, Republicans shot in Pettigo at that time. There's a memorial in the Pettigo Main Street up to their memory.
Okay. Yeah. And there was one man shot in an armoured car who was...
that was over at, we call it Slater's Cross, near where I lived, right. Just right beside it. And there were Republicans they had control of the fort that time. And more by chance, they fired a shot, and it happened to go through this peephole, and the army lad was there, and he was looking out the peephole, and he was shot. And his body remained there for a couple of days until, through negotiations with the Republicans and others, 2 local ladies, and she was later Mrs. Ross, and she was Knox was her maiden name, and her and another lady went over and recovered the body and brought it to Belleek and given the respect it deserved.
So the body was left in the armour car for just 2 days. Nobody could get at it.
Nobody could get at it, like. So the Republicans agreed to allow the 2 ladies to take the bodies there and bring them over. You know, again, a moving story.
Absolutely. And then there was a slightly more funny story, I think, at the time, where there was a B special who was caught in no man's land. Was that in the same battle?
That was in Pettigo.
That was in Pettigo.
Pettigo, yeah. And they allowed him, the Republicans allowed him to run across, you know. And I when that Dan Dowling interview was made public, I had a contact from a lady in up North Antrim, and an uncle of hers was shot at that time by the Republicans in Pettigo. Right. So I had been in contact with her for quite a while, you know, and able to give her the information she wanted, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the IRA made their escape, I think, did they? But they had to go on a ferry, and there was a price to pay. Have I got that right? No,
there was a Morhamini Castle out here, which belonged to the Johnson family, and when the last of the family lost their lives in 1917, right. the old Morhamini Castle was sold and was purchased by the diocese, and old Father O'Kieran took up residence there. He was the parish priest. So that would have been the story there. Like, and the when he was there, the specials took over thing and held him captive. And then there was a lady, she had a boat, Pride of Erin, and she came into her boat, and the specials that were in Morhamini Castle went across the fields into the shore, and she took them up to Enniskillen again. Okay. Another funny story, Father O'Keir, and as an adult I used to serve Mass from, I knew him quite well, way back in the 1930s, and he, very strong Republican. He was reputed to be both personal friend of both Eva Lairs and Michael Collins, which he was actually at the time. On the way back during the war and the blackout, there's this very officious policeman who was cycling up the Enniskillen Road. There were no buses that time, but he looked across the river and seen a wee glimmer of light in Moramina Castle. Pedalled across the bridge, or Scaur Bridge, knocked at the door, and old Father O'Kieran eventually came to the door with his candle in his hand at night. And people would have expected him, being a Republican, to chase your man. And your man gave a complete lecture like on this light, the danger would be if the Germans seen it and would bomb the place. And old Lorcan says, "Oh my good man," he says, "we can't have that." He says, "Come with me." Brought him away through the castle to the very far end of it, where he had a candle burning, preparing his sermon for the following Sunday. He blew out that candle and blew out the one he had in his hand. Now he says, "My good man, you can get your way out." The humour that we have, like, it keeps us going.